Boom. There we go. Well, we're back on LinkedIn and YouTube. Brandon Bradley, our CTO at G12 Communications, and Rick Garcia. You know, I just the mouthpiece.
Yeah, I was gonna say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on
That's
where
right.
our viewers are sitting.
Worldwide. We're world syndicating worldwide. How amazing is that? All right, everyone. Well, hey, welcome, LinkedIn viewers. Thanks so much for stopping by with us and hanging out and walking through how to make Microsoft Teams your phone system. And we call this show everything about Microsoft Teams phone because that's what we do. We're phone guys here at G12 Communications, UCAS provider, uh, and more recently, massive Microsoft Teams provider. So that's pretty darn exciting because Microsoft Teams has shown over the last oh I don't know the last year and a half, really, maybe the last 2 years, really the game has been just they've just upped the ante at Microsoft. The phone system has become reliable. It has become feature rich. It has become easy to use. And now with Operator Connect as an example, it's become easily accessible. Some of the things that we see often is, we get this question all the time: direct routing versus Operator Connect. I literally just answered an email about 10 minutes ago about this, and there's quite a difference in the different services. Though we offer both of them, they are distinctly different. And Brandon, why don't we go through just a couple of things? Now I've got a PowerPoint, guys. We're going to throw this PowerPoint on in a minute, but let's just have a quick chat because there's a few things that I want to talk about, some updates, because we've got a lot of IT centric individuals on the show today, and I want to address some resources that are pretty cool that we find in the business all day every day that are pretty cool. And if you're running a Teams environment and you're interested in learning more about Microsoft Teams Phone, then obviously you can come to G12 and talk to us. But we certainly have some other resources I want to share with you because we've recently become a partner with Empowering Cloud, and we'll show that in a little while. So, Brandon, direct routing versus Operator Connect. Let's talk about some of the differences. What can you tell me?
I mean, I think the obvious one that most administrators are going to see in the Teams phone system is the more automation control, less PowerShell scripting for provisioning, bulk provisioning users, managing number inventory, and more exposure to the front end. So what we're able to do with Operator Connect is you pick, G12 is your carrier, you procure your numbers, you port your numbers however you want to get your numbers with G12, you activate them, and they automatically show up in the Teams admin center for you to leverage however you want, whether it's resource accounts, users. So that's really going to be there's obviously other differences as well, but that's going to be like probably the biggest value add is this overlay of you know automation, and under the hood what that is just a bunch of APIs that we have exposure to, whereas direct
So,
routing is more just the traditional SIP trunking, if you will.
so when we're talking to customers out there, we're talking to organizations. What I typically talk about is, there's direct routing as a service, right there, and then there's direct routing where we host like the SBCs in the cloud, and we put the dial tone on there, and we help manage it, all that good stuff. So we've got that, but I also talk about you know uh, direct routing being more of a let me assist a physical phone system to gain access to Microsoft Teams so that I can work in conjunction with my physical phone system using my existing PSTN dial tone, whether it's SIP trunking or PRIs or whatever. And then I can connect if I run a giant facility, as an example. Let's take a hospital or something, and I can run all sorts of physical devices to it, and that's kind of what one of the kind of the things that I talk about when I talk about direct routing versus Operator Connect. Operator Connect full cloud, right? Direct routing, could be hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing Operator Connect does is it unifies the PSTN experience with the phone system experience. So instead of having kind of this feeling of disjointed, my direct routing SBCs are with G12, and I've got to make sure I coordinate the activation of numbers here, and then make sure I swivel chair and I'm doing my stuff in Teams Admin Center, Operator Connect again, it kind of unifies that experience. So it's a really nice, single pane of glass for management.
All right, very good. Let's talk about some updates in Microsoft Teams. There's some new things that are happening in Microsoft Teams as far as updates go, and one that is really exciting. I'm going to say one, and you can talk a little bit more about it, but but one for me is, and I'm not sure if you've got the notification in front of you. I don't have the notification in front of me, but basically it's distributed access from a management perspective for call queues and auto attendance. And I'm going to give you guys, so Brandon, why don't you talk about that? And then I'll give you a business case just so you guys understand what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and I don't know that we have dates yet. We've asked Microsoft and they haven't provided us the release dates for this, but the current limitation with the Microsoft Teams phone system is you need the Teams admin access to the phone system to go in and configure, it might be a greeting, it might be, voicemail, you want to route from a user to a voicemail, whatever the case may be for auto attendant and call queue. Whereas, your really mature phone systems, legacy, more contact center focused systems would allow say an office manager or a supervisor to go in from a supervisor panel and, bring people into queue, push people out of queue, change greetings, maybe even change hours of operation. Really what we'd call business operation functions versus phone system operation functions. And what Teams has announced, or excuse me, what Microsoft has announced is they have this feature coming in, a future release here, we think in the coming weeks, where now you can assign, as the Teams admin, you can assign those supervisors, those office managers to put that control in their hand so that they can manage the call queues and auto attendance right from within their Teams experience without needing to come in and manage it from a Teams admin center.
So what I what I heard was the change was made, but the panel's not ready just yet. But the change has been made to allow for distributed access. And essentially, business case, everyone. We work with a bunch of organizations that are distributed that have 400 locations, 300 locations, 200 locations, whatever it may be, different regions and things like that. And when you work with corporate ITs as well, we've got this real tight hold on security. We've got this real tightly controlled way to access the phone system or the admin panel for Microsoft Teams, which now includes the phone system in there, right? Well, what if I have 400 stores that need to make changes to their auto attendants for inclement weather, right? If my IT team is set and ready and I've got a massive sort of IT team that can make those changes for those different store locations on the fly, great. Then I don't have to worry about it. But if I've got 400 locations and every district manager or every store manager is responsible for taking control of that, we typically would sell a UCaaS solution with Teams overlaid. So they still have the Teams experience and live in Teams predominantly, but we would sell them a UCaaS solution so that they could have granular control over all of those locations. Now, with this new change coming, again, it's not GA just yet, but with this new change coming, that's pretty nice because those store managers, as an example, can have that granular control to change those auto attendants, change people who are in the call groups of their location. I mean, I say store just to give you kind of the context of a location, but of a location. So it's really, it's Microsoft, really addressing all the different things that a more mature phone system has, and doing it in a really quick way. Like it's really quick. This is just kind of hit the industry, right? We're a UCaaS organization, so we continually sell our UCaaS solution. But boy, this is really, when you look at the solution features, I'm amazed. I think it's fantastic. I'm a 21, 22, 25 year telecom guy now, and I think it's amazing. I mean, you're more on the technical side. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean obviously the evolution paces are pretty incredible, and we all know Microsoft has a lot of resource power to throw behind it, and if I'm making the prediction, it's not going to take long for the Teams phone system to do anything and everything that you would expect your Avaya or Cisco to do. And what's really interesting to me about the Microsoft approach is the way that they've created the admin center is very intuitive. I mean, it's almost just like, step by step as you work through it, through that hierarchy of the phone system. It almost makes it really hard to even make a mistake on how you design your call flow, because it's fill out these three things, business hours, holiday after hours, that kind of stuff. Click next, and then it's moving you into the next setup. So the thing it's going to do is it's going to allow organizations to transition off of maybe an archaic phone system or a really convoluted phone system. I just came off a call with a customer that's looking to migrate off of huge named phone system to Teams, and they were even talking about how it's just getting really convoluted to manage it, because you got head turning. The experts take the next job that comes along, and now someone else has to pick up the slack. And so then you're left with this intimidation of needing to learn and become an expert on a phone system that's maybe confusing. And Microsoft has done a fantastic job of really kind of taking that confusion out and making it so even kind of a you don't need to be a phone system expert to do your day-to-day management. It can get complex, but don't let the initial look at Teams phone intimidate you, I guess is what I'd say.
There we go. Well, let me do this. I want to share a quick website. I posted in the comments below. It's called empowering.cloud. Real quick shout out to Tom Arbino. We've partnered with Empowering Cloud because he brings some really good insight into the Microsoft space, the Microsoft partner space, in terms of updates and information. Again, it's empowering.cloud. Real quick note, let me share my screen and I'll show you guys the site. I won't navigate through it, but I will show you what that looks like here in a second. Let's take a look here and get to a window or an entire screen. Let's get to an entire screen. This is what I had an issue with last time, but I think I'm pretty solid now. There we go. I'm not going to stick it in in view mode, because then it takes, I've got 3 monitors and it like puts everything up on a different monitor. So I'll drag this over though. We can show you what this looks like. This is Empowering Cloud. That's Tom. I think we're catching up with him in London in a couple of weeks. But basically, there's all sorts of good updates. If you're a Teams administrator, if you're a Teams partner, if your organization is looking at Microsoft Teams as a phone system, there's so much good information in here. He's got real professionals, unlike us. He's got real professionals in the inside the site here, essentially, that deliver 15-minute discussion points. And it could be around devices that you're going to use. It could be around anything related to updates from Microsoft. And he has people that are really good experts at all this stuff, and they kind of come in and give a quick 15-minute sort of informative, non-salesy, non-pitchy sort of a discussion, so that everyone in the business or in the industry is got up. It's empowering.cloud. You'll see the G12 logo up here soon, right here, as we help sponsor this, and we appreciate the opportunity to partner with Tom and his organization. So that being said, let's drag this over and we'll talk about Microsoft Teams being your all-in-one phone system. Let me I'm going to skip some of this stuff here because we decided to just hop right into discussion. But basically, you got me, Rick Garcia, and Mr. Brandon Bradley, our CTO.
Your trusty sidekick.
I thought I was a sidekick. A little bit about G12. We've been around since 2011. We're the guys that built a company called 360 Networks, and we provided wholesale voice services to guys like Vonage and Jive and Nextiva and Google Voice and all these different organizations at a wholesale level. Then that was acquired by Zayo in 2011, and we started G12 Communications shortly after that. You have a really experienced management team here at G12, and we've been doing Microsoft things for a long, long time. I was just looking through a press release a long time ago in 2014, where we were doing SIP trunking into the Lync platform, right? So since then, we've been sort of tied at the hip. Fortunately, we're located here in Kirkland, Washington, which is a hop, skip, and a jump to Bellevue or Redmond. Actually, it's just a hop. It's not even a hop, a skip, and a jump. It's just a hop. So we're butted up right next to Microsoft. And then obviously in 2018 we deployed direct routing. 2019 we started our integrated UCaaS and Microsoft Teams. And then last year we were one of the first to be introduced into the Operator Connect portfolio of carriers, and that has been really cool to help sort of be a part of that organization, be a part of that platform. Some of our customers are in the healthcare, government, financial, and enterprise space. What I haven't listed on here yet, and what I do want to talk about really quickly, are education institutions and nonprofits. If you're a Microsoft Teams administrator right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's because you get, as a nonprofit or an academic institution, you get the 5 series license, whether it's G5, A5, E5 licenses at a discount. So the phone system, I think, is somewhere around $3.20 for the phone system component, as opposed to $8. So if you are a nonprofit organization and you are sitting on a legacy phone system, yet you use Microsoft Teams today, and whether you do or do not have the 5 series license, I highly recommend you talk to your CSP. And by the way, bring your CSP to the discussion with G12. We do not take over your CSP stuff. Bring your CSP to the party. We'll talk about how we enable your phone system and take care of and help manage your phone system, or just help enable you. But ultimately, you get a discounted rate, and you've got a phone system sitting right inside your Microsoft Teams license already. And so if you've got a legacy Cisco, Mitel, ShoreTel, Avaya, NEC, any one of those phones, everyone's moving to a collaboration solution that's got everything built in. And there's 2 that I'll talk about. I mean, when we talk about the other one, Microsoft Teams being really the heavy hitter in the space. And when I say heavy hitter, Brandon, that's because they're the numbers right there.
Big numbers. Yep.
Big numbers. So let's talk about this for a second. Excuse me. 280 million active users in Microsoft Teams. Of those 280 million, I think there's about 45 million that have the E5 license in there. And there's about 15 million total PSTN subscribers. That goes up. It's almost going up by 500,000 or 1 million a month, right? So the migration to Microsoft Teams Phone is real. And you'll see, I think later this year, you'll see basically just this hockey stick. But ultimately what's happening here is that you've got 30 million, 35 million, 30 million, or not organizations, but users, subscribers out there that are sitting on an E5 license that are not using the phone system. And now that the phone system has become reliable and easily accessible via Operator Connect with providers like G12 Communications, it's really, I mean, it's a comprehensive solution. It can be your full-on phone system. Is there anything, just from a technical perspective, Brandon, that you've run into where you go, a legacy phone system is really better than Microsoft Teams here? And I'm 100% serious. Is there a situation that you've run into, and you do, hundreds of these, a month or whatever it is, but have you run into anything like that? I'm curious. I've never asked you that. So live, kick me under the table if you're going to tell me a story, but
I mean, puts me in the hot seat, like, what I'd say is that it comes down to perception, right? Like, I can have this perception based on previous experience that I think there's a better phone system. Maybe it's something I've been in, a part of building and designing, and so I have this level of comfort in the architecture and the way that it's deployed, the way that it's managed, because I just have, in my mind, I have that mental picture and that comfort level. But what I'd say is that's where it stops, right? Is this perception of what my truth is. And that's what we hear from customers. The biggest question is Microsoft a better phone system? And what we can tell you and our listeners is, Microsoft is doing the same design practice that the so-called expert would do, right? And they're probably doing it at a magnitude and a scale better than I would do, because they have more resources that maybe can focus on that than I do. So have I seen it? That comes down to objective opinion, right? And that opinion may not matter. And I would say because of that, the answer is probably no. I don't know if that's a fair answer or not, but
No, that's a fair answer. I mean, there's some things that I'll talk about here in the next couple of minutes where there's some misconceptions, and I want to hit those really quickly. But the numbers are staggering here, everyone. The year-over-year growth is significant now, and we understand why. We understand why because from a value perspective, a customer experience perspective, an employee experience, an employee productivity perspective, cost perspective when it comes to, telephony solutions out there. Think licensing and hardware and telco at each location. I mean, you think about those things, there is just some significant value in the Microsoft Teams platform. You just have to partner with the right team to make it easy for you because it can be complex if you make it complex, or if you don't have all the components or only understand one portion of the components. When you've got an organization that can support you from an easy button perspective, it makes it just a real simple migration. So it's pretty darn exciting to work through those things with organizations. Real quick chat about licensing. Like I said earlier, nonprofits and academic institutions, you get a bit of a discount, but the phone system piece is normally about $8 a user. If you're on some of these licenses here, if you've got an E5, A5, G5, those examples here, you are already included. You don't have to pay anything extra. So it's pretty amazing. The value is really there. So by all means, that should be a discussion you should be having internally, or at least put it on your roadmap, because it is something that I guarantee you the CIO, VP of IT, someone's going to be asking about it really quickly because the numbers are staggering and everybody's talking about it. Everybody's moving to it. But anyway, okay. Misconceptions real quick. Too complicated. Not the case at all. Brandon's just kind of outlined how it's not complicated and how things are becoming even easier with distributed access so that other people can manage portions of the phone and not touch anything else. Isn't reliable. Well, Microsoft increased their SLA from 3 nines to 4 nines, really to kind of show you that, hey, we've put a massive investment in this, and this is what we're doing. And just 4 nines is 53 minutes of downtime a year. So I mean, 4 nines is amazing. 5 nines is what we push because we've done 100% for the last few years. But basically, 5 nines is pretty. 4 nines is pretty dang amazing. I mean, 53 minutes of downtime when you're talking about, everybody talks about their Microsoft moment, right? Well, we've had this Microsoft moment, when we did our exchange to 365 migration, this happened. So understand that you've experienced something like that, but with the SLA behind it, it's become quite reliable and really good. Go for it.
Yeah, and I'll chime in, and this isn't meant to knock anyone at all, but when you think about larger enterprises out there, and they don't even have to be huge, that are running their own legacy phone system in-house, via Mitel, ShoreTel, Cisco, whatever it is. When they want to know what the SLA is and the is it 5 nines, is it 4 nines, what is it, and they're real particular to know. An interesting question to ask is, do you guys keep track of your SLA on your own phone system? And what you're going to find is the answer is generally no. And so then it's like, well, you got to start shifting. Again, it goes back to perception of, 53 minutes sounds like a lot of downtime. But when you take into account, weekends where maybe, some businesses are 24/7, but weekends where maybe Microsoft is pushing updates and it causes maybe a hiccup, and that bites into that 53 minutes. The question I usually ask is, what's your current phone system's SLA? Is it 100%? Is it even 4 nines, right? Before you immediately jump on the SLA question around Microsoft, ask yourself what your own SLA is. And if you can answer that question, kudos. If you can't, then, maybe, open your mind to, maybe Microsoft is really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to show you. In fact, I've got 9 tips to ensure a seamless phone deployment. Unless you comment in the comments below, I'm going to skip this so we can get to some features and show you some features. So I'll give you, let's say 30 seconds on the timer here. unless somebody says, yeah, let's talk about these 9 tips. I'm going to skip through those. Dun, 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 dun. Uh, look, I'll just scroll through these. Review, plan, consider, evaluate, utilize, simplify. There's a lot of things in here, guys, that I want to go through, but there's a lot that I want to get to because I want to talk about some of the features in Microsoft Teams that maybe you weren't aware of, and covering those and maybe showing some of those. Brandon's prepared to show a few things, how they work and stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. In fact, Brandon, do you still have the auto attendant from last week?
I don't. I've made a better
Yeah.
auto attendant to show.
Oh, sweet, sweet. Okay, let's talk about some of the features here. Here we go. This is a big one for those organizations that out there that want integration with whatever CRM or application they are using. That is one that just really is useful. I mean, I look at just a second ago, I had my HubSpot pop up along with my my Teams thing, which I put on do not disturb or whatever. So I hit no. I forgot to do that, but my HubSpot came up at the same time. And so I can see who's calling me, and I can see if it's an existing customer. And if it goes into our HubSpot database and pulls out an existing customer, I know who it is. So I can say, hey, Phil, sorry, I can't talk to you right now in the middle of a LinkedIn live show. So, call me back. But how cool is that for organizations where you can introduce the integration of whatever application you're using, as long as it's web-based? Are you going to show us anything like that, Brandon?
I can't. Do you want me to show it now?
Oh, no. Okay. Well, wait. Well, so let me talk about a couple of these other things. Call recording and real-time transcription. Man, the business benefits to that. Let's just say you've got a sales organization, and I hate to talk about sales organizations because I love sales, but anyway, I really like to. But let's talk about a sales organization real quick. Having the transcription of all your calls available to you and searchable allows you to find good calls and mirror good behavior. It allows you to keep a really good hold on the customer experience when you're talking about sales or customer service. It allows you to make business policy around what your customers are thinking, feeling, and giving you verbally, and make useful decisions, useful data. You come up with useful data when you have every single call transcribed. So, man, that is such a cool thing. A law firm told me the other day, we basically don't have to take notes. If you're on a call now, you don't have to take notes with this because, you've got the transcription right there, and you can just go in there and it's searchable. I can go in there and search what I'm talking about or what I was thinking about or the bullet that came up, you know what I mean? And you can have, access to this so easily right in your call history, right in your window in real time. So that is just such a cool feature. Obviously, the recording is available to you as well, but the transcription, there's just so many use cases from a business perspective that I get really excited about. I'm trying to think of one. There was one came up that was different the other day, but it's just pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you could take it a step further. I mean, think about taking that transcription and feeding it into, say, Microsoft Power BI, and then taking all that data, and again, depending on the business use case, you could create all kinds of metrics around, what kind of keywords are being, like, let's say it's the sales organization, right? What are people asking? What's the most common question that you get asked, or what's the most common feature that the customer wants to know? Imagine taking all that data, putting it into Power BI, and spitting out analytics on the other side, and very quickly beginning to understand your customer base.
Wow.
A support organization. Imagine being able to go, man, our number one pain point is this, based on our phone conversations with our customers.
Man, that is cool. Loading it into Power BI and pulling out analytics related to conversations that you're having on the phone. And it's all part of your Microsoft Teams solution already, right? You've got Power BI, access to Power BI already. So the recording, real-time transcription, CRM integration, auto attendant, and call queues. The auto attendants are pretty cool because one of the things that we get as a UCaaS provider all the time, inclement weather, a day off, some sort of change, and we need a greeting, or could you help us with a greeting? Right. And I think about that and I go, it's so nice in Microsoft Teams to be able to just type away, type your greeting, and have it, text to speech essentially, right? So text to
Mhm.
speech, and it sounds great. You have a version of that?
I do. I can. I think the last time I shared my screen and then shared my audio, and it seemed to work, even though I couldn't tell it was working. So I'm happy to do that for you.
Let's take a look. Let's see. I'll let you know if it's not working.
Okay, I'm going to.
Let me stop sharing my screen, yeah, because so
Yeah,
you
I'm
can.
gonna need you to stop sharing
Do I need to stop
so
sharing?
I
Let's
can
see here.
be selfish.
Yeah, is it? Can you just take over? Let's see here. Let me
Yeah,
hit the.
I think I can. The share screen. Gonna share audio. Let's see how this does.
Oh yeah, you've got it. Sweet,
All right.
perfect.
So let's real quick before I make just a blind phone call. We're going to go into our auto attendants, and the way that I've got this set up is I've got a mainline auto attendant that is set to, handle the front end of the phone call. So I've got a toll-free number tied to that auto attendant that if we dial it, and we will here in just a second, it's going to come through all of this call flow logic. So now, Rick, this is what you're referring to, the greeting, where I can type in whatever greeting I want, and now Microsoft has their text to speech language service that allows me to speak this language you know right from the text prompt, and you should be able to hear that when I call this number. um, and then all the way down to voice recognition. So now I can prompt for, hey, you can press one if you want sales, but you can also say sales, and the auto attendant is listening for that prompt and will confirm that. So I got to reach over and grab my other headset here real quick, because this time I'm trying to do it where I don't echo myself off of this live stream like I did last time. So, and then, I've got what I can do then is in this case, I'm going to go off to another auto attendant that has different business hours. So now I can control, like, my support might be 24/7, but my sales, they like to work 10 to 2. Right. And so maybe I can narrow that window down. And
You
I
know,
had to get that dig in a little bit.
I was just listening to that for just a second. I was like looking at the things. I'm like 10 to
I
2.
was
Come
I was
on.
watching out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, I'm waiting for you to come on. Threw a
Am I
little shade right
listening?
there.
Yes, I am.
Threw a little shade. Yep. So what we're
Love it.
gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna call in. We're gonna get this. Thank you for calling G12 Communications, where we provide purpose built blah 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 blah. You'll hear it, and then we'll go through. We're gonna call sales. Because I'm going to go a little further. I'm going to show you. We just recently got asked a question about, hey, I have agents that are representing multiple queues. I want to know if those agents can then return the phone call from the queue. So what I want to do is I want to show that in action. Since I'm sharing my screen, I'm going to show it kind of right up front. So sorry, Garcia, I'm hijacking the call for a minute,
No,
or
go
the
for it.
the live stream for a minute. So what I want to point out here is this is my I'll say my contact center agent, my salesperson, my support person. Um, you can see they have a direct phone number, the 720 number, but that in this case isn't relevant to what we're about to do, right? We're going to tie the named user to the queue that we're going to dial into. So we're going to come in through the greeting. I'm going to say sales. Hopefully it works, because I won't be listening to the audio. Garcia, you might have to tell me whether it confirms the prompt.
I
Um,
can give you some feedback.
okay. So then what that's gonna do is it's gonna push us right over to the sales queue, and you'll see right here we've got business hours, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So this is Mountain Time. We've got 26 minutes before sales close. So I'm trying to get a hold of Garcia. I need to tell him I need the contract now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna call in, and the only other thing to note is, based on that, we're gonna then get pushed over to a call queue, right? The sales call queue. So we'll just pop over there just so you guys can see this really quick. We'll hop into now the sales call queue, and you'll see that we've got the queue set up. this is going to be the point that's important. So try to remember this name, test call queue. This is the queue that if the agent needs to make the call back, again, remember, this is the customers or the agent's direct phone number, but they want to make a call from this 206 phone number. So keep that in mind. We'll show that here in just a second. Okay, and then inside of that queue, we've got, just to quickly point it out, we've got, let's see if I can remember where it's at.
Hopefully it's not me, because I don't have.
It's not you.
Send it to the team.
Yeah, so then you're going to get greeted with this: thank you for calling G12 Sales. Your call is important. Please hold for the next available representative. It will go into queue. If there's not an agent available, you'll be queued for a certain amount of time before it might then, if you hit a timeout, it might route you off to a voicemail or whatever the treatment is. So again, I don't want to spend a ton of time going through that. So what we're going to do is
launch it.
I gotta find my cell phone so I can make the phone call. Actually, I want to not do it from my cell phone because you want to hear the audio. So let me find my.
It's complex when you talk about the whole sharing within the sharing sort of stuff, right?
This is inception level stuff. I'm like trying to keep track of what parking level my brain is on. All right, here's my header number.
All right.
So here we go. Hopefully, let me know if you hear the audio, Rick, just so I know it's working.
I got you. All right, you tell me when it's going, when the timer starts.
We're dialing 866-441-2669. And I'm just going to point out, I purposely went and got this toll-free number. This actually spells 866-4G12 now.
Love it.
Like an infomercial. Like,
love it.
You want G12 now.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, there is more. All right, here comes the call. I'm actually going to put this headset up so I can hear it.
Tell me when you hear it. I don't hear it yet.
You don't hear it?
Not yet. Do you?
I do hear it. Oh. So obviously the audio is not sharing this time. Okay, let me switch my audio back to system, because maybe that's why it's not working. And if this doesn't work, then I guess
we'll pop right on. We can get to it in a bit.
We'll move along. Yep. So let me.
Inception level stuff. I love it.
Yeah. Call history.
You got a vest on now. You got to be sweating bullets now. You're like, the audio didn't
that was supposed to work. Demos never go as planned. Right?
At least you're not on a stage with 1,000 people looking at you. It's just a larger stage with millions of people on the show now.
That's right. Okay, let's try this. This is going to hit my main headset. So let's see what happens.
There we go.
Do you hear it, or did it cut away?
It cut away.
For some reason, it cut back to my other headset. So I think
Bluetooth is on.
I got to change my audio out. See how the ringtone is well, you can't see it. I'm not sharing my screen. The ringtone is set to default, but I can't change other stuff to default. One more call if this doesn't work.
One more call if it doesn't work. We're moving on. Everyone should Brandon continue to try this audio mixing thing. We'll see. The viewers are going to determine if you get to move on to the next stage, Brandon.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this was what's the real popular Korean survival show that's out there right now?
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, or Hunger Games, just like the Hunger Games.
Something
if I
like
fail,
that,
I'm out.
You're out. All right. This is your last shot, buddy.
All right, one more call. Here we go.
We may have to fire Brandon.
So you hear the ringing.
Got the ringing. We're good.
Yep. All right, we'll move on.
Moving on.
I'll work on this. So you can go back to
let's
presentation
go back
mode.
To the presentation. Yeah, we'll go back and do that. All right, let's get back over to here.
Boom. If
you can troubleshoot.
If you suddenly hear something, then I'm working on it.
All right, so let's talk about the other amazing features in there. End-to-end encryption. If you are an organization that requires HIPAA compliance, PCI compliance, if you're dealing with, if you're a financial institution or healthcare institution, particularly, right? If you have an HR department, end-to-end encryption is important so that no one can pop into your audio stream. Obviously, 911 emergency calling available with every user, so it doesn't matter where your user's at. They have the ability to update the location. We populate some locations for them where they can choose right from their calling window. So that's really cool. I do want Brandon to give you a little navigational tour of the end user experience, because some of you, even though you are familiar with Microsoft Teams, you may not know what the experience is with Teams, because I can tell you 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we first got into Microsoft Teams as an organization and started to use it, we didn't even have the phone icon. And finally the phone icon became available to us because we turned on like direct routing, whatever it was back in the day. And so there's that sort of stuff going on, but we want to show you the different features inside the user experience, because that's really what's important, right? What are your users experience? So let's talk through this here. Network testing. If you're deploying, you can go test the location. You can put the amount of people in that location, and you can share that, or you can Microsoft Teams will give you kind of how your network is performing. Call statistics reports and usage reports. One of the cool things, I love this auto attendant sort of the auto attendant statistics, because as a customer experience, I mean, massive customer service advocate right here, right? So from a customer service experience, think if you're an organization, a large organization that maybe has, 20 call queues, 50 call queues, or auto attendants, and we've got lots of organizations that have stuff like that. Well, it's nice to know when people get stuck in a call flow, right? What are your customers thinking? So maybe you've got your main auto attendant on top, and you dive into that, and it sends you off to some other sort of call group or auto attendant. What's cool about that is that you can tell what kind of statistics people are visiting that auto, or with the statistics from visitors of the auto attendant. So literally where they stop, where they go through. So being able to understand that really gives leadership an opportunity to improve that customer experience. And this is when we talk about improving the customer experience and improving productivity for employees. This is one of those things that, is overlooked quite a bit, but being able to understand how your customers, when they're calling you, what their behavior is before you even talk to them. You don't even, like, you may have the data from when they talk to you, but what if a percentage of people are getting stuck in this auto attendant? You get to find out with Microsoft Teams. It lets you know from a statistics report how you can see that with auto attendant traffic. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, the call hold and call groups and call queues. One thing that's pretty cool is the voice enabled channels. So if you have a channel and you are using Microsoft Teams as almost like we call it a BSS OSS, like a billing system, operation system, right? And you're the back end of your organization. So you can obviously, with your CSP, you can determine what kind of flows you can use in Microsoft Teams to get to a group that can do something. Well, what are those voice channels? Well, those channels are now voice enabled, so you can ring them right through Microsoft Teams phone and get to a channel. So not just a call queue, but a channel, which is pretty darn cool. Obviously, your normal things like Call Park. Call Park just launched not Call Park, but that just launched a discussion point that I want to have here. When I go to that next slide, you'll know which one I'm talking about, Brandon, the devices here in just a second. All right. Next thing, webinar events. Like, you can host webinars on this thing. It's just amazing. So webinar events, I think it's up to 10,000 or 20,000 users, something like that. It's massive. So hosting webinars, it gives you the whole registration page, all those things you can do in Microsoft Teams. Simultaneous ring, obviously, music on hold for normal phone calls, different networks and locations. You can separate them out and build them. And then simultaneously ring external numbers. This is really good. We call these emergency call queues or call groups. So that's pretty cool. This ringing in external numbers and things like that if devices aren't available. Speaking of devices, everybody listen, this is really important. If you're watching right now, what we're about to say, and maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't know this, but really this is super important. We're going to talk about devices. Watch this. Here we go. The next slide. Boom. Why is this slide important? Brandon, why don't you tell us why this slide is really important and is just a game changer? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not important because I don't want a hard phone on my on my desk. So I just
Hey,
shot down your whole
vote,
excitement.
vote real quick. Hard
Vote.
phones or no hard phones? So
Yeah,
comment. Are you guys
yeah.
all about the soft phone, or do you like physical phones on your desk? Comment in the comments. Let us know. That'd be great.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead.
Desk to the phone. No, but what makes this really, really, really important for organizations, especially as they're looking to transition away from, maybe it's a managed PBX from, a UCaaS provider, or it's their own in-house, could be Cisco, again, Metaswitch, Mitel, etc. But what makes um, the business proposition so attractive to my, as you're looking to move to Microsoft Teams, is this ability to take these legacy and not just like semi new legacy phones, but these really old phones, and moving them away from the legacy Cisco's, legacy Mitels, ShoreTels, and bringing native compatibility to the Teams phone system. So what that means is, I've got, like, behind me, I've got a Cisco 8861 device, and it takes me 3 clicks to move that off of, say, a Cisco phone system and onto the Microsoft phone system via their SIP device feature. SIP gateway is what they're calling it. So now what that means for a business is, I think one of the biggest questions, maybe even you hear, Garcia, is, customers want to know, am I going to have to go spend thousands of dollars on, new hardware for new phones? And what this brings to the table for those organizations is, no, you don't need to replace your hardware. You can bring it, assuming it's in the compatibility list, you can bring it, you can reprovision it to Microsoft Teams phone. And I mean, I'm telling you, 3 clicks and that phone's up and registered and assigned to a user. So it lowers, when you're looking at, what's it going to cost me to move from a phone system to Teams phone system, it lowers any kind of CapEx that you might normally have to go look at when you're about ready to transition from a phone system.
And that's it. I mean, that's it. Here's what I love to say. All right. If you're on that, just like you said, if you're a legacy UCaaS customer of the big UCaaS providers, they almost certainly have used a model like below. So I'll get to the Cisco in a second, but a Poly and a Yealink, those are the 2 most popular VoIP phone models or brands in the industry. So if you can look at, I don't think the numbers are something like 20 some odd million UCaaS subscribers nationwide, something like that. They most certainly have one of these phones tied to it. And the nice thing is like, come on, like come into Teams. We'll help you use those same exact phones if you really want to. But the beautiful thing is that, as everyone tries to migrate off of physical phones, you don't have to go spend money if you're going to migrate off physical phones. I guarantee if you took a poll within your organization, here's a question for you. Okay. If you're listening here, answer this question. This would be great. If you took a poll in your organization right now, what percentage of people, what percentage of people would want a hard phone or desk phone versus a soft phone? I see something around 70 to 30%. 70% prefer the soft phone versus 30% still hanging on to that physical phone. They're still hanging on, right? So those are the things that we see on a pretty regular basis. But what do you see in your organization? If you took a poll, what would you think your organization would come out with? Comment in the things below. But yeah, the Poly and the Yealinks. Let me just say real quick too, this list of devices is astonishing because this thing goes back to, and I got to look really closely to see this. Well, I guess I got the big PowerPoint right here so I can look. I go back to like the T29G. Okay. Like we were deploying that phone like 10 years ago, right? Like it was a long time ago where we were deploying that phone, and it's got the 10 buttons on the side. I remember it because I thought it was a cool Cisco knockoff is what I looked at when Yealink first rolled out. I'm like, these are Cisco knockoff phones, but they're cheap and they're awesome. So that was pretty cool. Now let's get to the Cisco phone system thing. The Cisco thing is just a game changer. If you're coming off of Cisco, or if you're thinking about coming off of Cisco, if you've got 20,000 handsets distributed out there, you're a hospital, you're Costco, or you're somebody like that. You know what I mean? You've got massive stores and massive Ciscos, because like Cisco education and massive retail, Cisco is so embedded in that space, and they had so much that market. But those devices, if they're the SIP devices, the list of devices right there, like Brandon said, 3 clicks and you're off of that. So, you get away from the smart choice or smart net, I think it's what it's called, smart something, or you're paying a per license fee for those devices. It's just, and you got an old call manager that you're running still, and you're not getting any of the real features and benefits of a modern phone system. Now you can. Right now, you can take advantage of it without a CapEx investment, because you can utilize these same devices with Microsoft Teams and G12 kind of helping the way, implementing your SIP Teams gateway to do that. So anyway, so that's just
I'll throw in just one caveat to that. If the listener is on here and you're in the Microsoft GCC environment, you can ignore everything we just talked about. This feature is not yet supported for FedRAMP, GCC, the government, environment within Microsoft. I'm sure they're working on it. Just wanted to call that out. We do have clients that we're working with that they have Cisco phones. They want to bring them, but they're in the government space, so unfortunately they cannot.
That's the old battle between, biz dev and engineering, right? We're like, yes, everybody can do it all. Come on. You're like, hold on, let's get the details right.
You can call me Debbie Downer, but hey, I'd rather be transparent. If there's government people listening that are in the government space, this isn't quite there yet.
All right, we'll fire on ahead really quickly. Let's talk about why you use Operator Connect. Okay, so you'll see my little icon start to pop in here as I kind of go through this, but really it's because it's full cloud, right? We own the infrastructure. It's full cloud. You don't have to go do anything except port your numbers over or activate new numbers. And it literally takes minutes to do that. Now there's more involved with deploying the phone system, but literally activating a user is minutes away from doing that with Operator Connect. Why? Because we're physically paired with, with Teams in multiple data centers, and allows you to activate numbers instantly and gain and turn those users on. So that's one, and using our own infrastructure, not your infrastructure. So it makes it really simple versus an Operator Connect sort of deployment, or versus a direct routing of deployment. Obviously, if it's direct routing as a service, great. It can be simple just like that, except there's someone in the background feeding it PowerShell scripts to do something for you that's not visible to you. And Brandon, we are running out of time, so I do want to get to the Operator Connect interface so you can see what we're talking about. So if you can prep that, I'll go through this in a heartbeat here. Faster deployments. I just kind of mentioned the faster deployments here. Enhanced security. Well, we're physically connected to Microsoft Teams, so it makes it really secure via, like I said, multiple data centers. Affordability, it's just off the charts. Affordability, like if you're physically connected to it and stuff like that, you really want to talk to us. But affordability, seamless migration. What's cool about this is that if you're on a physical phone system, or if you're on UCaaS, you can deploy an entire Microsoft Teams phone system, build it all, use the soft phones as an example with no interruption. And then come porting day, we run a script, call it 6 a.m. in the morning, and 6:02, 6:01, you're set, you're ready to go. Soft phones going off, new phones going off. You can plug in your phones behind that if you'd like to do that. But ultimately, you can deploy a phone system with like no downtime. Like it's just pretty darn cool. And you can think like, oh, come on. But no, seriously, you can go deploy this in soft phone mode essentially, and be completely separate than what you're doing, and just have your new phone system ring when the numbers port. I mean, that simple. Adoption. Let's talk about this. That's typically one of the big gripes with IT, as an example, right? Is when you roll something new out, well, who's got to go do the training? Yes, the new organization, like we do, training in our UCaaS for our UCaaS stuff. Yes, the new organization will go out there and deploy or train your users and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the questions come back to who? They come back to IT. They come back to that group, or that group has to go roll something out. Well, with Teams, everybody knows how to use Teams. It's not complex. Brandon, why don't you pop up here? I'm going to give you this. You've got a couple of slides here. Like that's your pretty picture right there, nice and big. We'll stop on that for a little while. Everybody take in everything that's Brandon right there.
Oh my.
And then you've got the I guess the network components here. We can talk about that. And then what I want to go into today is maybe not TCAP, but maybe the end user experience, the interface of the end user. I think that's really important to cover if people are not used to living in Microsoft Teams. So let's do that really quickly. Let's talk about this right here, and then let's pop into an end user thing. You can share your screen and walk through that the last couple of minutes. And while we're doing that, anyone, if you got questions, post them in the comments. We'll get those things answered. So while we're doing that, think about questions, and we'll answer them in the few minutes we've got. All right, go for it, Brandon.
Yeah, I got literally 4 minutes, so I gotta hurry. Yeah, I'm just gonna touch on this piece real quick, the direct connects, right? So, this allows us as an operator to activate your phone service and provide and extend Microsoft's SLA through your calling experience, right? So we have our direct connects in each of our data centers set up between us and Microsoft in a highly redundant, geo-redundant fashion. Really all you need to know is it's directly connected, managed, monitored, and maintained, and then we secure all communication channels over those direct connects. So I'm going to attempt to take over the screen. I just shared everyone, I think.
You've got it.
I think I've got the audio issue fixed. We'll see. So I'm going to dial in. This is, obviously most people are probably familiar with the Teams interface, maybe not the calling interface. But we're going to dial in again back to that main auto attendant. Hopefully you hear it this time. And then we'll go from there. So Garcia, go ahead and let me know. I'm going to make that phone call now.
Thank you for calling G12 Communications, where we provide purpose-built solutions and services that enable you to successfully move through your digital transformation journey. For sales, please press 1 or say sales to speak to a G12 sales representative. I think you said sales. Is that correct?
Yes.
Say yes or no, or thank you for calling G12 sales. Your call is important to us. Please hold for the next available sales representative.
Man, that's good stuff.
So you'll see a call come in here. Here. Now you can't see it popped up on my other screen, but it shows the sales queue and the caller.
Oh,
I'm gonna
awesome.
answer that. I'm going to answer that.
That's all right. I know you're getting some feedback, but that's okay. Let's see. Did you answer the call?
Yeah, I did. I ended it because I'll call back in. I don't want that feedback loop happening.
No, that's okay. Let's skip that. Let's do this. Let's show the interface. Let's talk about the interface features here if we can real quick. Just kind of give us a quick tour of that.
Yeah, so one of the main ones again that I had referenced here a little bit ago is the ability to, if I want to call a number, let's say I'm in a sales queue and I want to call back, but I don't want the caller to get, my direct line. I want them to get the queue line. I can get ready to dial the number, and then right here, if I'm in a queue, I can pick the queue that I want to source that call from. And that's a big question that we're getting asked is, hey, we're used to being able to source our calls from, whatever source number that we're working from. So just know that feature is there. If we make that phone call, we would then be able to, we'd be able to park that call if I need to have someone else retrieve it. If I need assistance with that customer or whatever. Again, while on the call, I could turn on we could turn on transcription and call recording so that you could see the transcription. I believe I have one already here. So what we can do is we can actually see, here's the call recording and here's the transcript. So now I can go look and review what was spoke during that call, right? If I need to go back and review it, or I didn't know or didn't remember what the customer told me, I now have a reference to that.
That's awesome.
So I know we're right at the hour. So
Yeah, we're top of the hour.
Next time, I think we got to do the demo up front so that I can take the whole hour and you
that
can
sounds
sit back
good.
and relax.
we can skip the PowerPoint and just get into the demo, because we do want to identify all the little things that the Teams interface brings. So from a training perspective, this is about the adaptability, right? It's really simple. It's really simple, but there's a lot of features packed in here that people just don't understand yet, right? The 911 location stuff is in there.
Yep.
You know, the transcription stuff on the right, the call history and contacts there, the phone number there, you know, your outbound pulse number. There's a lot of different components that are built right into that interface. It's really simple, but there's a lot of features packed into it, and they're just so like seamlessly woven in. You just don't expect that many features to be in there. So I want to break those out for listeners. Everyone, this is Rick and Brandon. We're doing everything Teams Phone Live every Friday, 12 noon. That's a wrap for today. If you got any questions, post them in the comments. We'll be working those questions after the hour. But thank you so much for taking your lunch with us. We appreciate it. If you learned something new, that's fantastic. If you didn't, let us know what you'd like to learn. If you didn't know, as an example, but let us know what you'd like us to cover, and we'll cover that on the next show. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. We'll catch you later. See you, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Yep. Bye, everyone.